Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to sharpen a card scraper, also kind of the reason to why you would have a card scraper and the benefits of having one. Alright, so this is a card scraper, and this is basically a piece of metal that is a little bit flexible and you can use to smooth out boards. I prefer to use it instead of sanding if I'm going to do something that I don't want to lose a lot of thickness or even go through a plane or anything of that nature. But they do require there to be basically a little edge on this thing. So let me bring you in really close to explain what this is. If we were to take a look at a card scraper from this edge here, what we would have is the edge of the piece of metal. And typically you're going to have it very nice and square. But what we end up doing, and what I'm going to show you in this video, is that you're going to end up with a little burr on either end, so that when you scrape this along the wood, that burr scrapes a little bit of the wood off and gives you a really, really smooth finish. So let me show you how we're going to do that with this piece of metal. So to perform this task, you're going to want to have a fine, nice square file. And then to round over the edges or to burnish it, we're going to want to use some hardened steel. And for that, I just use a drill bit, something that's got a round shank to it, because we know that this will last and will work just as perfectly fine. You're also going to need a vise. So the first thing to do is take your card scraper and put it in the vise. Now I don't put it too high, I just enough. This is a quick sharpen. And then you're going to want to take your file and run it across, back and forth, keeping it nice and flat just a couple times, just to make sure you don't have a edge there. Then do the same thing on the other side. Use your finger to tell if you've got any sort of burrs on there at all. Then you're going to do the same thing on the top and try to keep it square. One thing you can do if you aren't trusting yourself, you can put a board against it and raise this up just where it's just barely coming up and over that piece of wood, and then use that to help guide it to be straight. But what we're going to do is go back and forth just like this. Go this way too. So all we're doing right now is just guaranteeing that we have an edge that will look like this. Lastly, we're going to go back to the sides and take off the rough burr that we have that we don't really want. Okay. Now we're ready for our burnisher, or in this case it's going to be one of these shafts. And we're going to go perfectly straight with this again. Now you can use, like we said, the board to help keep it nice and level for you. But basically what we're going to do is go across. Now one little tip, don't just stay in one side. Kind of sweep across. That way you don't actually wear this out over time. Just apply nice even pressure back and forth. And basically what I'm looking for is something that's smooth to the touch. If you feel any roughness there, or if you drag your fingernail, you know you haven't gone enough. So at this point we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to tilt it this way and do the same motion, and then we're going to also tilt this way, and that will actually give us the burr on both sides. Give it a little feel, and you should feel a nice even edge. A little tiny burr. I'm going to go to the side just a little more. And we got a nice burr. So now we're going to go ahead, give it a test. Before we test it, let me just give you a quick walk down on how this works. This is the edge we did. When you do this, you can do it two ways. You can pull it towards you or push. I tend to like to push it. I think it's easier, so I'll make sure I've got something so I can't push that board across, and this board's higher than the one back here. But when you do it, you put your thumbs in the center and just curve it just a little bit and keep it at kind of a 45-degree angle, and it'll apply pressure and push across. And just so that you see this a little better, we'll put the little squigglies on it and let's go to town. And here's the kind of stuff you get. You get some shavings. There we have it. Okay, so one thing I do want to mention, you may notice in my demonstration there, I'm not getting a lot of these really big shavings. That is all dependent on how long you burnish it and file it. I just did it quick to kind of show you how it's done, and really truthfully what I'm doing is perfectly fine. I'm using it to just get a little bit of wood off so that I don't have to go aggressively sanding and lose thickness of the board. But if you do it with the actual burnisher and you use maybe something that's a little bit of a file, you could even use diamond stones and sharpen it that way, using it flat on the tabletop. But these card things come in a lot of different styles. The one we just did is just a rectangle. I've got another one that's just another smaller version, but then they give you some that have some contours to them so that you can actually fit them within the places that you're trying to reach. So I will leave a link in the description of this video for this little kit. It's a really helpful kit, something that I really have used very often here, just trying to, like I said, minimize how much wood is actually lost. So I hope this helps you out on how to sharpen one of these things up. Super simple, super quick. You can do it after some more practice in about 5 to 10 minutes, and then you're back up and running. I tend to try to keep both sides sharp. That way you've always got 4 total sides. You know, each end would have 2 burrs, and that way you've got the ability to just flip it and keep on going. So I am using these in a video that I'm working on right now, so you may see that in the future. But thank you for watching this one. I hope it helped you out. Please give a thumbs up, drop a comment below, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel, because I do a lot of stuff like this. I also do a lot of tips, a lot of DIY type projects. So thank you for watching this one. I'll see you next time right here in the workshop.